So we're here with Arron, Carlton Sheekey, founders, developers, and producers of this fabulous Bloome skincare product. And we're going to talk about it. Products worth talking about. So, if I may say so myself, we're going to delve into the delicate world of skincare. And this in itself is a revolutionary and kind of innovative product in that arena. I guess what we want to do is separate it from all the other forms, the abundance of skincare products and brands that we've got out there. We really want to lock into this in terms of what differentiates it from those other brands, other forms of skincare. Just looking at it, we can see it's got a certain quality to it. But we want to get inside the tub before we explore the outer bounds of it. And also we want to get into you two as a pair, as a business group, as a family unit, the background and the inspiration behind the product. So if we just start off maybe by discussing the inspiration behind the development of this product. Because if I'm just looking at you two as what we're accustomed to in terms of producers of cosmetic ranges, I would not, probably if I passed you on the street, I probably wouldn't identify you two with producers of such a quality brand of skincare. So how did this come about in the first instance?
So it was a long journey, working out key ingredients, superfruits, different things that you can put into skin, not just into your body, but into your skin, and understanding the benefits of those ingredients and how they work harmoniously together. And yeah, we created a fantastic product based on that. What we created was never enough. I think what we wanted to create was more the brand of Bloome by Donna Marie. I think that's the most important thing for us is Bloome by Donna Marie. It has integrity, it has values. And when creating this product, we didn't just want it to be a product, another product that you see on the shelf that has certain key ingredients that is basically hits certain demographics based on the ingredients that's used. What we wanted to do is make a product that has results, but scientifically proven to do what we say it does. And I think that's missing in the industry. And as you said, we don't fit the profile of this industry. And I think that's a benefit to us, not fitting the profile, because that means we have to go to the nth degree to always go back to the why we're doing this. And why we're doing this is to be transparent. It's for people to know what's in the product, research and educate themselves. So you can go onto our website and you can educate yourself on the ingredients and the benefits of each ingredient that's in our product. They're not something that we've stumbled across and thought, oh, that's a buzzword right now. CBD, retinol, hyaluronic acid. These have been carefully chosen, and more importantly, the percentage of each ingredient has been very well thought out, back and forth from scientists, back and forth from labs to get the right measurements to get a product that works.
It's refreshing to hear, because as someone who's been in the skincare business for a long time, personally come about by discovering a lot of the falsehoods that is advertised with brands, with products, what's on the front of the tin. So before we get into the ethics and the values and a bit more on the ingredients and the key ingredients, you touched on how the product came about, and you mentioned it seems like it was a personal journey to actually bring it about, and it seems like that's what the product's integrity is built on. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the why is the reason for Bloome. It's named after our mother, Donna Marie Sheekey, and the Bloome basically signifies the start of this journey. So it was almost the end of our mother's life, but the start of this journey and the brand, if that makes sense. So our mother was diagnosed with skin cancer in 2015, which started out as a very small mole on her stomach. We thought, or she thought at the time, that she may have scratched the mole off and it scabbed over, and it was very unusual in colour, and it led itself to question whether it was skin cancer. When you see what melanoma looks like, it can look like a scab, discoloured, disfigured, a lot of grey areas around the outside. It did fit the profile, but our mother wasn't privy to being in the sun, exposure at all. And if you did, she wore a lot of SPF, especially high levels of like 15 SPF, so on. So yeah, she was diagnosed in 2015, which was started off as a mole. Went to the doctors. They advised her to go to hospital to have it checked, have a biopsy that goes away for testing. That came back within a few weeks, and it was diagnosed as melanoma. So going forward with that, the next step is to have a complete biopsy, have the whole thing removed. So that was removed, I think it was within about 3 months, that was completely removed. And from our point of view, we were thinking, okay, scare over with, biopsy done, removed. It was so tiny, it was only the size of a 1p piece. So for us, it was the scare factor was kind of done. Then she went back to the doctors. You always have to have a checkup a few months later. They do the bloods, and then they found that the cancer had spread. So it had gone to her lymph nodes. And as you always go to your lymph nodes, that's just an elevator to travel the body freely. And so that's what it done. So immediately she had to have lymph nodes taken from both groins. I think it was all the lymph nodes, wasn't it, from the groins? Or majority of, yeah. To try and, and even in the early stages, we found we was always 5 steps behind the cancer because of how quick it was moving. So spread to her lymph nodes to begin with. She had those removed. Again, you get high hopes, thinking, yeah, okay, we at this point we think we're ahead. So we're kind of strategizing to alleviate the spread as quickly as possible. But then it's like a formality. Once you have certain operations and certain biopsies and things, you have to have checkups regularly straight after. So the next checkup she had, still in the bloods, it moved to lymph nodes under her armpits. So she had to have those removed, and the one was really invasive under her right armpit. All of those removed, and at that point we're thinking again, happy days. She's in a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort, but we think, yeah, the worst part of it could be over. But then after, like I say, the formulation of testing afterwards continues. We found out that it spread internally. So at that point, we're at the crossroads that so many, unfortunately, have to go and make a decision. Do you go with chemotherapy and different forms of chemotherapy? And at the point, at this stage, there was a new trial out called Immunotherapy. So we was talking to our mother's oncologist about what this entails. Big thing for mother, she didn't want to lose her hair. That's kind of all she cared about. Don't let me lose my hair. Yeah, don't let me lose my hair. So obviously, would you go down chemotherapy or radiotherapy, inevitably you're going to lose your hair. With immunotherapy, what it's designed for is to build your immune system to fight against the cancer. So instead of having the invasive treatments, which is far more rigorous to the body, this was building your own immune system to fight against it, so you're less reliant on the therapy. And like I say, it was a trial, so there were some fantastic, as you see with a lot of chemotherapies, there are some really good success stories. Then you will also get many that it doesn't work with, and the quality of life is completely dissolved based on the therapy because it's so invasive. So she opted for the immunotherapy, and we all felt comfortable that, yeah, the immunotherapy is probably the right approach, especially given it's very difficult when I think someone's got a disease and you can't see it. Like, we saw it to begin with, and when it's internal and you can't see it, you can't quantify the level of the disease, and do you know what I mean, and the scale that it could potentially spread. So we went down the immunotherapy route, same process as chemotherapy. So she'd go to the hospital, sit there for 3 hours on a drip, and then go home. But then the quality of life after that is horrendous. So the first time she had to keep the immunotherapy, we'd go home, and then within 24 hours, 48 hours, back in hospital. She'd be in hospital for about 3 or 4 days. Can't eat, can't get up, feeding everything through the drip. The amount of drugs she had to have to counteract the side effects of the immunotherapy was literally destroying the quality of life. It was at a point where we saw her with the cancer, walking around, going to work, living her life normally. But as soon as the treatment was put into her, the quality of life just literally disintegrated. And I think at the time you understand that the treatment's got to work. It's you know what I mean. This is the this is your body reacting to a very invasive treatment, but if this is doing this to you for your quality of life, it must be doing something for the cancer. That's what we're thinking.
Yep.
So yeah, as I say, the quality of life was really disintegrating because of the treatment. And each time she was going to the hospital, so she would have the treatment and come home. Then because she's been ill from the treatment, then postpone the next treatment for a few months. So she wouldn't have, I think she went every 6 weeks. But what was happening, because she was reacting so bad to the treatment, they push her back and say, right, you can't have the treatment now because you've been sick, violently been sick, or you violently have diarrhea, or you've not been able to hold food down for 3 or 4 days. We're going to have to put the treatment back for, I don't know, say it'll be about three months or something like that. It was a long period of time before she could have it. So it was a difficult one to really get your head around. But what we found is that it was always 10 steps behind the cancer. You just kept moving and accelerating at such a speed, and watching our mother really, her quality of life go from, like I say, walking around and being active, being able to go to the toilet, to not being able to do that because of the treatment. We had to sit down and start thinking, there's got to be another way, even if.
What was the time frame, if you don't mind, from when she was diagnosed initially with the melanoma to when you saw her at this level of disintegration?
About 2 years. That's about about 2017. I think that's where.
Yeah, 17 was probably the beginning of when the deterioration started, and then that lasted for 2 years thereafter. So yeah, she systematically just started to just not be her usual self, and that's in part by the treatment, the immunotherapy, but also because of the like Arron said, the side effect treatment that she was giving. She was given bags and bags of side effect medication just to counteract whatever she was feeling at the time. She felt sick, pop a pill. If you got a headache, pop a pill. That was kind of the thing that was given once they leave the hospital. So that was something, again, that we were, this can't be right. Like,
I guess as well, you're taking on board the psychological, emotional stress that's coming with that, and the not knowing, and that's not knowing what's going to be unveiled next, potentials.
And her as well. And we have to kind of stay strong for her and let her know, Mom, this is for the benefit of, we're trying to get you healthy. But as we're doing it, we literally had, like, the week-long plastic containers that for medication that you put tablets in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We were there every day filling these things up with tablets. Like, God knows how many we had to put in there, 20 a day. It was just ridiculous the amount of medication that she had to have, which is what spurred us on then to go and research and find out what are the alternatives.
I was going to say, so you put your trust initially in the allopathic route, in the medical route, as we do, as we've been trained and taught to do. So you've gone down that route. You're about 2 years in now. You can see deterioration. Your confidence is subsiding, I can imagine. So now you're thinking, as you just said, what are the other potentials? What are the alternative therapies out there?
I think at that stage, you kind of, you question yourself, like, what would you do? Do you know what I mean? To either prolong your mother's life or give her the quality of life. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a balancing of which one you choose. And I think we were, at that point, we started researching into quality of life, but with the chance of prolonging life. So we was looking at more holistic approaches. I think it was about late 2017 going to 2018. We started to really research into more holistic ways of dealing with cancer, and especially melanoma. And at that point, we addicted to researching, literally contacting people in the States that had, the success stories were through the roof with cannabis. I know it's a really hot topic with people more with seizures, not so much with topically, usually for skin conditions. So we reached out to some guys in the States that cured themselves from stage 4 cancer. They started off with melanoma. It literally riddled their hold inside and made their way to the brain. They was at stage 4. They had 6 weeks left to live. They didn't go down the chemotherapy route. They didn't have any pharmaceutical drugs at all. They went straight to cannabis in high dosage. and they cure themselves with it.
So when you say cannabis in high dose, to clarify, are we talk like how we might know cannabis from the street or from the community are they smoking themselves?
No.
To how for what form of cannabis are we talking about?
They strip the oils from the cannabis, so we're looking at the purest form of THC, the active component in cannabis, and CBD. There's many more. There's hundreds of different components of cannabis, but these are the active ingredients that we required to do what we needed it to do for our mom. This again was found out through the research that we did and through some of the case studies that we were looking at in the States again. And what we were managed to do was find out that the concentration of this oil was able to do a number of things for other people. We later found out it was working for our mum as well, which was to reduce tumors, which was to reduce the sickly feeling and anxiety, I guess, of the whole situation. So we did a number of things, not just physically, but emotionally for these people that used it. And they were given their testimony for cannabis oil. So it's literally the oil.
So you're processing the cannabis fruit, the herb down into the extract, the main active component within the fruit, into an oil form.
That's right. So we strip it. So what they do is they strip it using a number of different chemicals. So it's either alcohol or butane or other thing that you can use to strip
Different
away
process
the trichomes.
method.
Exactly, yeah. So they basically strip away the trichomes off the cannabis, concentrate into a pure form, heat it at a specific temperature, which then gives you a nice oil. There's a lot more into it than that, but that's basically what we do. We heat it at a specific temperature for a specific time. That will then give you a nice concentration of the oil, which you can then administer to any person that's got an ailment. So that's the route that we were researching, and we took that route in order to facilitate some products for our mum, and that's what we ended up doing.
So with this oil, you're administering it orally, or you've decided to take it into a topical application?
Both. We did both, just because we wanted to go full force with it, because essentially we really wanted to stop the medication, not the treatment. It was the side effect treatment that was giving us the most. It was just the fact that we're filling up these things full of treatment on top of what is already a very, very aggressive treatment that she's having at the hospital. That so much so, like Arron said, so much so that they had to stop it for a period of time so she can get herself back together, so then she can go and get it again. So in that between that period, now we're feeding her with a load of prescription pills. And that didn't sit right with us.
What
really.
you know is each one of those prescription pills has its own list of side effects.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we did, because we did that. We pulled out each one, and all of each box of pills had its own side effect, and so forth.
And the thing is, it's a page of side effects. It's not just do you know what I mean, potential diarrhea, headaches, do you know what I mean, those sort of things. It's a whole page of maybes that's all based on the makeup of that individual. So we would never be able to pinpoint which drug was, you know what I mean, firing off.
Especially when you're dealing with a body that's already so frail.
Exactly. So I think that was the big point, is because her immune system was so bad at that point, was so low. Even though the immunotherapy is meant to boost it, she couldn't fight off anything. So even if she got a cold, straight into hospital. If she was sick, straight into hospital. If she had diarrhea, she'd go straight into hospital and be monitored. And when she's admitted into hospital, that pushes the therapy back. So then the cancer spread in. So do you know what I mean? It was a horrible cycle to keep going through, and to hear success stories coming from across the pond for something that is far less evasive, gives you far more quality of life, boosts her emotionally, where she can, I mean, to not be able to get up and go to the toilet is, do you know what I mean? That's for, and we're not talking like weeks, we're talking months and months and months on end. That's indignity, and it's very hard for you to want to get up in the morning to do what? I can't do anything. So and I know what you was going to say then, that she was very happy when she was on the medication that we were getting.
So you started using it, you started applying it.
Yeah. So once we started researching it thoroughly, we looked online, found where we can get it from. But what we didn't do is what a lot of people do. They just try and find any Joe blogs online that does this, and go with it. Well, we didn't do that. We, like I said, got addicted to research. So we started looking at what plants do what, because each plant has their own benefits, and not just for recreational use, medicinally. Each in different plants, different strains do different things. And in the world that we live today, because cannabis is used so highly for recreational use, and especially in like California, and now in Holland, and now newly in Spain and Barcelona and those places where it's now legalized and decriminalized, where you can use it recreationally. It's a business, and so recreationally, people have only got the high in mind. And they're hybridizing cannabis so much now, where they're just trying to make it strong as possible. Where that's not how it was originated from. It grows naturally in parts of the planet like Russia, and it's called lamb's bread. And that's the original cannabis that grows willingly in this good earth that people use it for, and use it all over the planet. Russia, Africa, Caribbean, and it surprises people that it can grow in Russia, but it's what you can get from it is unbelievable, and it's untouched. Do you know what I mean? It's not being, humans haven't taken it into a lab and scientifically done something to it to make it into something else. It's just
organic.
It's a land race.
Organic. Exactly.
Yeah. So there's three types of plant that we know of right now. There's hybrid, indica, and sativa plants. Each of them have their own way of. They have their own unique way of. People react to them in their own unique, different way. Sativa has a more of a relaxed vibe. Sorry, a more positive, up tempo vibe. And indica is a more relaxed, mellow, chill out vibe kind of thing. So we needed to figure out, okay, we know this now, and hybrid is like a mixture of the two, and you can breed out all of these seeds, as Arron was saying, throughout time. So what we wanted to do is find the closest we could to a landrace, which is the original seed, before it got split out and genetically modified, or even bred out into two different strains. So when we say bred, we mean you could take an indica, you could take a sativa plant, you could crossbreed them, you could come up with a new strain. You can do this many
genetically
times.
modify into your own.
And that's why we've got all these different names for weed. Now you have cookies and this, that, and the other. You've got all kinds, so they're all different breeds that have come about.
You're trying to get back to the source.
We're trying to go back to the
original seed.
Exactly. So we saw that Jamaica had lamb's bread. We saw that we had land races in Holland. Africa, as Arron was saying, they all have their own original seed. They're very hard to combine now, obviously, for obvious reasons. But we did get close as we could to a seed which was called Northern Lights. Northern Lights was a sativa plant that we managed to pick up from a friend of ours that we met along the way in the journey. He was what we called a street doctor. So he was able to come up with all different plants and ways of ointments and stuff. So he helped us. His name was Doc. We got a cure. His name was Doctor.
Shout out to Doc.
Yeah, shout out to Doc. He helped us basically formulate some of the stuff that we eventually got to. So he helped us use different plants, or not even helped us use them. He helped us open our eyes to the different plants
strains
that were
and potentials.
available. Yeah, exactly. Not just the strains in cannabis, but other things like lavender and
therapeutic botanicals.
Right, exactly that. So he introduced us to that. So that's when, again, the research, we went back in.
Wonderful world.
Exactly. And it's crazy to think that there's so much out there that we could be using to benefit our bodies, and it's overlooked for some synthetic stuff. But essentially what we did was we were able to go and find that oil and make the oil, and we were able to utilize the oil to make topicals treatment for our mom, and also the oil, the capsules for us to take orally, just to combat and see what happens over time. But we wanted to do that with the support of the oncologist, with mom agreeing that she was happy for us to do this, which she was, because she was sick to death of the tablets that she was taking. And we managed to do it. We managed to formulate some products.
So in terms of the oncologist and his support in this process, how was that?
I mean, support was
Support
a very
maybe
good
was strong.
term.
Yeah, maybe it's a strong term of support.
He
He wasn't against.
Was he reluctant to offer
No.
any guidance, or
They don't
either
have
way?
it. They don't have
Okay.
any. They can't offer, suggest, plant a seed. Just they can only say it's working continue doing what you're doing because it's got results.
Okay.
So what we've done is we created, as Scotland just said, we made the tablet form. We made
Topical
creams
yeah.
using so many different superfruits. It was on. What we've done, we made so many variations of
because you're researching all these therapeutic botanicals as well.
One would use dandelion root, would use guinea hen, would use moringa seeds. We'll try all these different variations and try them out, see if they work. And we just found one that works like you wouldn't believe. And even bringing over shea butter or mango butter from Africa. So many different things. We just creating concoctions. And once we started putting it on topically, the results were staggering. So
what was we seeing? What kind of results was we seeing?
And like I said earlier, when you can't see the cancer, and you just see, do you know what I mean? We're going off data that the doctor's saying is spread here. They can't really say how much, then you can't quantify the amount that it's spreading or how aggressive it is. But what started to happen was tumors were coming up under her skin. So she'd get bulges coming predominantly over her back and the shoulders. So we then started putting the cream, topical cream onto the tumors, and 24 to 48 hours, gone.
It was reducing.
Gone, not reducing, not even reducing it.
Pressed down and you couldn't
feel it at all. So what we done, we kept doing it until we knew there was a scan due, where the oncologist can see what is happening. So every time we'd go to the oncologist, we'd look at all the tumors, mark them out on a diagram, measure them, and collect all the data that way. So we knew exactly the size of them, where they were placed, the date that they was there. So when we started applying the topical ointments, and they were going within, for us, to see with human eye and feel, we can feel them within 24 to 48 hours. We then have a scan, and the oncologist would be like, at this point, we didn't tell him he was using the at
the time illegal substances.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So when we did sit down with him, and he could see that they had reduced, you could see in his face, if the immunotherapy is working, the immunotherapy was like,
okay,
we
different.
Yeah, we just need to point out that we've now started to use, because she hasn't had the treatment for, we've probably been a good 2-3 months. So this is why we had to do something. We can't just let the cancer aggressively grow and not be proactive. So we've been creating our own, using concentrated THC, using superfruits, creating oils and different balms and things to put onto the tumors. And based on results, we're showing a picture saying, right, look inside this tumor here, 48 hours, gone.
What was his reaction when he's seen this? He's someone who's been working with it for his whole career.
In the beginning.
Very skeptical, because he was considered the lead for immunotherapy. So yeah, he was the reason why we went down that road, because he didn't. Yeah, he pushed it. If I say he pushed it on us, he was such an advocate.
He
inspired
inspired your
that,
choices.
He's pioneering in something in his profession. He's gonna back it, isn't he? It makes sense. And we at the time made sense. It suited what my mom wanted in terms of quality of life, what we thought, and her keeping her hair. So yeah, I would say he was skeptical at first, but he said, we can see results. We don't have any data. I can't offer anything because we have no data whatsoever with cannabis or THC. We don't test on it. We just can't give you anything. But what I can say is, if you think it's working, continue doing it. It's okay. So we then, at that point, it's like how far would you go to save your mother's life? Do you know what I mean? Like, what would you do to not prolong? Because we're hearing all these success stories, we're now thinking we could cure. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're thinking now. Like, we've stumbled across something where if we're getting 24 to 48 hours of complete,
you're eliminating tumors.
Exactly.
Some people go under the knife. Most people will go under the knife.
Exactly. So to do it topically is you know what I mean? It's kind of unheard of. So at the point now where we have to have that serious discussion of, do we revisit the chemo? We've not seen any, from our point of view, we've not seen anything we can latch onto to say this has progressively helped our mother in any way, shape or form. As soon as we've gone onto the chemo, our quality of life has just diminished, and it's increasing and going down. The more we're feeding the pills, the worse she's getting. The more that we give her pills to counteract side effects, the more side effects she's getting. So like, do you know what I mean? Like, she hasn't had the therapy now for 3 months. I think we need to sit down with her, have the conversation of not going back to the therapy, and see, let's trial this. Let's see what happens. So we done just that. We sat down with her, said, how would you feel of coming off the chemotherapy and just working solely with the stuff that we're giving you? She was like, yes, please.
Yeah. Wow.
That's what we've done.
Wow. She pursued that path.
Yeah, it was. I think it was more. It was the side effect treatment that was the main crux for her, because I think the things that she was experiencing when she was taking things like the metallic taste in her mouth, constant metallic taste in her mouth, the smells, like the things that she just didn't feel herself, and that was just debilitating for her.
Yeah, and it's not only it's the amount of time she's been under the knife as well. So she still hadn't recovered for the surgeries in the groin, and especially the one under her armpit. All she kept saying every day is, it's burning, the skin's burning, all underneath her armpits.
So to come across a non-invasive treatment there and see the results.
Exactly.
And
in
feeling
real
that, I
time.
think that was a big thing for her as well, because like I said, when we gave her the oils, we started, there's a point in which with the research we've done, that we had to build a tolerance level up to about 1 milligram of oil per day. Now in this, I guess, how can we put that in? What is it? It's about an ounce, right? It's about an ounce of cannabis. We reduce it down into 1 milligram of oil.
Oh, okay.
So she was basically having to take an ounce of weed a day to be able to have the benefits of what we were trying to do. She never got to that stage. She'd give it a good go, and she enjoyed the process, which is what I think she really enjoyed. She was, even herself, she said, I can't believe I never tried this before. Like, I can't believe I never got into this, because she just lit up when she had it, the oil, and especially when the stuff went down, she was gobsmacked. So she definitely supported the idea of just going forward with this and making it comfortable and getting the results that we were doing from the oncologist.
Then for you two, as brothers, you're not doctors, you're not out there, you ain't got all these accolades and degrees in front of you, you ain't got this whole career of experience. But from your own research going out there, and I suppose it's just that burning desire, passion to help when you feel helpless, isn't it? So then to be able to bring something to the table of your mom, non-invasive, topically, and see her smiling, see her happy, see things being reversed, what position did that bestow upon you? It's like you're magicians all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't think you can even articulate like the because it's not a sense of power or fulfillment. It's a duty. It's a worth. Yeah, it's a duty that you've because because like I said, we're so programmed and we're so reliant on the NHS and doctors. That's what we know, and that's kind of all we know to a certain extent. And when that doesn't work, what do you do? Do you know what I mean? It's that question, like, there's no answers, is there? Like, if the doctors say, sorry, we can't do anything, wash your hands with you, what do? You can't do anything.
It depends who you are, don't it?
Oh yeah, exactly. But, and again, that's a good point, because I think when that does happen, or you're not seeing any progression or anything that kind of ticks a box to say we're going in the right direction and things are going to get better, you get that placebo effect. And just to sit there, and when you're not acting, you can't get up, and you've got that in your head almost. You know what I mean? Why? What's the point of today? So I think when we can see, I mean, let's get back to it. Once we started giving it, so within 48 hours, the tumors were going down, but also within, I'd say, 5 days, 6 days, she was up, mobile, walking around, energy levels gone up. I mean, one of the big things that they kept feeding was steroids to give her energy. But when she got to a certain point and she had energy, and she was reliant on them to say, right, we have to cut them down now, because she can't be reliant on steroids to be able to be acting each day. So we cut all of that out. Steroids was the main thing we wanted to cut out. We wanted her to be able to be active without prescribed drugs. And that's what we've done. So I'd say within a week, she was up, being able to go to the toilet, being able to go into the back garden. She could, instead of being able to be ushered into the car, she could get up, pack her own stuff, go get in the car when we have to do trips to the hospital. So the quality of life was night and day, literally night and day, as soon as we cut out all the drugs that was fed into her.
So that's where this was born. So I can imagine now you both as a pair are continuing the research to narrow down the best formula that you can apply topically. Like you say, going on the back of the research. You've got your key ingredients that you're using, of course, but then it's still a process to developing a product that you're going to be looking to use going forward. You know, you don't want to be spending all that time in the kitchen, you know, trial running different formulas. So now, is this how you kind of zoomed in with this particular formula that you're working with?
I mean, I don't think it wasn't planned, was it? I think when our mum passed away in January 2019, and at that point, we had a fridge, literally a fridge full of all different kind of ointments and treatments that we could offer to various people. So what was happening? People would tell close people that this is things that we was working on, and they'd come back and say, "Oh, I know someone's got this kind of thing going on, this ailment." And we're like, "Do you think your cream would work?" Because like I say, we're not doctors, we don't have the accolades. We know what works for our mum. Yeah, we just know.
Which on the street, that qualifies you as street doctor.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's called,
to the highest degree. But, so what we'd do, we'd give, we had a few people that said they had different ailments, whether it be arthritis, whether it be different forms of skin irritations, psoriasis, all different things. And we'd cherry pick ones that we didn't use, what's it called, the oils, the essential oils, things that wouldn't potentially irritate the skin. Essential oils don't usually irritate, but it can irritate because they are scented. So what we're doing is give them out to different people, and we'd give them out. Obviously, we're still grieving for our mum, so we're not really, do you know what I mean? We're not looking over them to make sure we just try it and see what happens. Forget about it. They'll come back to us months later, like, it's gone. What's gone? Like, the cream, you need more. No, my ailment is gone. So whether it's psoriasis, I mean, some of the creams we gave out for people with arthritis, and they literally will not have it any other way. That this is not only prevented, but it's cured them. They don't use it because they don't need the cream anymore. Where they've said, some people give us some cream back. I said, right, give it to somebody else that needs it because I've used it. It worked. Don't need it anymore.
It's crazy because at some point you feel like they're just blowing smoke. Then
you're gonna feel like that because you don't want to feel like a god. Essentially, you're saving lives now.
It might have maybe brought down the inflammation a little bit, but cured. Come on, really?
We said again, it goes back again, the placebo effect. Like, do we? Yeah, exactly. We hear the story that we tell them about our mum. I think, right, this is going to work for me because they've told me it worked for their mum to a certain extent. But anyway, just to go back to our mum passing in 2019, the reason for it is the cancer spread to her brain. So she had over 50 tumors on the brain. That was the last scan that she had because they never scanned the brain. So we don't know at what point it penetrated the brain. So again, it was a crossroads again. The only thing that could penetrate the brain is radiotherapy. And that is the most invasive, where they basically said your mum will be literally a couch potato for the next few months, and we don't know even if it would work because there's so many tumors. We can't guarantee any success from it. So it's your choice. She didn't want to go through with it, which
at all. She was no more surgery. I don't want not one piece of knife touching me at all.
And we have to appreciate that, knowing that we've just taken off all medication and offered do you know what I mean, a quality that she's not seen for years now. To go back and say, right, then now we're talking radiotherapy and to your brain. We know you could get brain damage. It could go wrong. There's so many different things that could happen trying to penetrate the brain. She was like, no, she doesn't want it. So yeah, we just carried on with the treatment that we was doing. But what we couldn't do is get her up to the dosage that we needed to. Because you can do it. The success stories out there. There's a lot of thousands of people out there. Yeah, there's thousands of people out there that have had brain cancer. The more tumors that my mum's had, been given weeks to live, sometimes days, and they've gone on to concentrated THC in different forms. So not just, a lot of people just have it, you can get it in a syringe. Some people just syringe it into their mouth, swallow it, put it under their tongue. We don't eat it through tablet form because the taste is vile. But it works. It can work. Do you know what I mean? So,
but you couldn't get your mother up to the optimal dose to get maximum effect.
No, I mean, we was never told a date, but we couldn't.
Yeah, we never knew.
You didn't know how much time you had.
Didn't know it was even on the brain. You didn't know it was on the brain. So when we were giving her the oil itself, we were giving it because we we knew the potential of it, but in that research, and I think it was after we found out it was on the brain, we actually then went back and did some more research to find out about the CBD receptors, cannabinoid receptors, 1 and 2s, and where they are in the body, in the blood-brain barrier, and how we can penetrate that blood-brain barrier to be able to get to the tumors on the brain. So we did all this mass research to find out now, and that's when we made the decision we need to get up to a milligram, or not the decision. We knew that's the
requirement
for exactly that. But as always, we didn't manage to get it to the full milligram. We did get we got a reduction on the brain tumors as well, right?
No, that was literally the last scan. Yeah, in the last scan, so we weren't even on
arms.
Yeah, we had nothing to measure it too when it got to her brain. So it was literally the last scan that she had.
So following the journey, now it's understandable how so much passion and devotion has gone into this. So after you've had to go through that process and the post process, of such an experience, what did you feel? I think you said it was a duty, a responsibility after other people you're serving in the community are coming back. Is that what kind of triggered the, no, this is something we have to do?
Yeah, it was, I think at that point it's almost like a calling. Like they say, it's a duty to, if something, we can't shy away from it now. Do you know what I mean? If we've got so many people coming, we've just seen it actively work for our mom in an unbelievable way that we don't discuss. Do you know what I mean? There's not enough dialogue about using it topically. I mean, there's such a stigma around recreational use for it. It kind of blows away any kind of conversations about using it medicinally, and especially topically. That is a conversation that we are actively pursuing and pushing to have dialogue with MPs, local MPs, even talking to, at the minute we're talking to some of the scientists in Israel that do the most testing with THC. And it's understanding the uses and the benefits of it, especially topically. I mean, that's what people don't understand. You cannot get high from cannabis using it topically. So there's no real there's no crossover with recreational use because it can't penetrate you that way. You can't get into your bloodstream to ever give you.
You're not digesting it.
Not at all. Exactly. So these conversations need to happen. When you see the results that we've had and the feedback we've had, I mean, this is not from like a small, like people that you can count on your hands. This is a lot of people that we've given out cream to, and they've come back to us. I mean, to the point where it would have been a full-time job to be able to do that. We can't do that. Once the cream was gone, it was finished. And I think at that point, we sat down and were like, what do we do? Like, what do we do? We know we can't pursue the THC side, but we know this is going to be something in the future. We know it's going to be something in the future. It's been legalized recreation all over the world.
It's a global movement now.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean,
the stigma's starting to erode a little bit now because they're finding the medicinal benefits of the herb. America's been, I guess, the flagship country to kind of push forward the medicinal side of it. I mean, how many is it? 40 other states out of the 50 are now recreational. You can use it recreationally.
It's interesting and worth noting that in my own research into the therapeutics of cannabis, without going too deep down a rabbit hole, we found that before the 1930s, before the explosion of the pharmaceutical industries by certain families or companies, cannabis globally was used in over 70% of all medicinal therapies or applications. And that's like outstanding to even ponder. It's like, what happened to that information, knowledge, science? It was a global medicinal therapeutic treatment, cannabis. And then, with this big boom of the industry of pharmaceuticals, medication, and a massive corporative industry that it is, cannabis got kind of demonized and criminalized even. So, that's another conversation as to the whys, but now it's staggering that we have to kind of find out through desperate means and measures like you guys have done to realize once again and be going through the science once again of the effects, the potentials, and the success stories that are to be had from this type of ingredient. So touching on that, I'd like to go into, so you've come back to the table, what do you do? And obviously you've picked a path. So what did that involve now in terms of, because now you can't just go on the back of the community coming back saying, yo, the street dogs are qualified. You've got to go down you've got to play the game.
Yeah,
Science, but
exactly.
the science is in there. So talk us through that a little bit.
It was, I think at that stage, it's, I mean, how do you can't picture a brand. Do you know what I mean? You got, at that stage, how do a brand's something you build, and it comes from, I think, successful brands, a lot of the successful brands that I really resonate with, it come from a why. And what better why than what we have, what we've just been through. So we sat down and we was discussing how can we do this knowingly we can't use THC. We know we can't use the main ingredient that we know works, and we know we can't go against big pharma. It just can't happen. It'll just be eradicated. There's no point in trying to pursue something that we know we're not ready for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what we started looking at is all the other makeups of the herb, especially CBD and cannabinoids, and knowing the receptors and how many receptors are in your body, even in your skin, where they are, the best ones to use, so they dissolve into your skin. We'll start looking at different, whether we go oil or we go with cream, to get it into your cream better, but not having the accolades, not having the knowledge, not having a lab to test this sort of stuff. We had to then go to and find a lab and scientist that we can trust, can work with, and that are open. Do you know what I mean?
And reputable
as well, and not fall into the trap. I think a lot of people, when they do products, not just skincare, it's so easy to do white label. It's so easy to pick something off the shelf, put your label on it, put it out there, see how it does. We were so far from that. Like when we went to different formulators and different companies that could make the cream, that's what they offer. They're like, we're talking about certain ingredients, and like, oh, we've got a cream that has most of those ingredients in. With that, no, we want to formulate our own cream. We know it's far more expensive, far more time, and this took what, 3 years? 3 years to develop.
Very much.
So you're approaching actual scientists labs, and you're giving them formulas, and you're saying, test these, we want result, or you want to see what the results are.
Well, to beginning, what we was doing was giving them ingredients that we know work and how they work with the body. Ingredients that we was using for our mom, but other ingredients that we know, because we can't we're not recreating a cream that's going to work against cancer because we're missing the key ingredient of THC. So we wanted to create a cream that, first and foremost, is a moisturizer that actually moisturizes your skin for longer than 24 hours. I think
some people don't realize, in the whole industry and in the community in health and wellness, how key and significant moisturization is to the integrity of the cells and the skin cells and the skin as an organism. It's phenomenal. You know,
that's why we wanted to look at just the very basic. We're not trying to cure acne or any other skin condition, but just take it to the basic level. What does most skin types need? Hydration. So if we can look into how we can hydrate the skin, that works across all skin types: sensitive skin, oily skin, dry skin. If we can work with or find a product that works with all of those skin types, then I think we're on to a winner. But the product that we produce has to have the ingredients that we've researched over the
because
course
for
of
the record, there are a lot of aspects and properties of the cannabis plant that are legal. It's only once it's been developed to a certain level of degree of process that it becomes illegal. That's correct. So what you guys are doing is chasing up those properties and aspects of the plant that are legal to use, and you're trialing and testing which of those properties you can incorporate into the foundation of hydration of the cream.
Yeah, exactly. And the key thing with that is the CBD. Now, CBD is obviously a huge buzzword in the skincare community. I mean, you can see when you go into Holland & Barrett or Superdrug.
Everywhere.
It's like these flamboyant ganja leaves everywhere, and people are buying it because of the buzzword.
Trending.
Yeah, rather than knowing what that ingredient does. So what we wanted to create is an entourage effect of using our three main ingredients, which is CBD, retinol, and hyaluronic acid. And what we've done is, because we didn't want to fall into, we're not CBD brand, we're not CBD company, we're using CBD as it's just as important as every other ingredient in our product. And what we've done to avoid falling into that CBD category is we've named it as cannabidiol, the scientific name for CBD. So what we're trying to, it's kind of a message to say, if you don't know the scientific term for it, then do you know what I mean? You do some research. Like, that's what we want you to come to us, because you know ingredients and you know the effects of those ingredients and what it will do to your skin.
Just following a trend, you're shortchanging
We're
yourself.
not for you.
And
Yeah, exactly. We're not for
and
you.
this is real. This is real life. This is real bodies. These are real natural organisms we're dealing.
And we're massively advocating for the education. I mean, a lot of brands are saying that now, but in all seriousness, we're not talking about we're talking about the ingredients within the product and actually what they do to your skin, to a cellular level, let's say.
Because that's what got you guys here.
Exactly. Exactly. And we encourage people to do that. Always research what you're putting into your body and on your body. We may look to do other products, other moisturizing creams. As we research more and we find better ingredients, we'll probably do a variation of the rejuvenated face cream. But for right now, for what we really wanted to bring to market, I think we found a good hydrating moisturizer that does exactly what it says on the tin. It has all the ingredients that you could want in a moisturizer, and it hydrates your face.
Can we just stick a pin in that for a sec? Because like what you've achieved with this and the story thus far is phenomenal. Like I say, I say we, because I see we're kind of similar in some kind of textures, but the profile of you guys, again, if I'm just a Joe Bloggs walking down the road, but now because you've expanded on the road and the journey, and you produced a product where, like you say, it's easy to white label, and that's what a lot of massive brands are doing. That's what a lot of independent markets are doing. Cool. You guys have took it. You've approached scientists, labs, you're getting results, you're investing in the education, the research of it. You're considering all the foundational necessities of moisture and cream and trying to master that. I would say that even with myself, you know, and the background I come from in the well-being industry and healthcare and whatnot, that is still pretty phenomenal and unique, to say the least. And you sound like guys that are coming from still a particular background. So what is your background? Where do you two come from? Like, in terms of your educational, the way you've been kind of mentored in life, any privileges, any kind of what's your schooling like? Who are you? Like, where are you from? What part of the city of you two Asians come from to produce this?
You know where we're from.
I know where you're from, but as part of the brand, I just want to highlight it. Do you know what I mean? For purpose of the brand and for the wider context, and how this can be so inspiring to people who are from where we're from.
Yeah.
It needs to be highlighted.
Yeah.
I know where you're from. I know where I'm from, and this don't match the profile. Do you know what I mean? So,
well,
what end of the woods? What neck of the woods?
Exactly that, Chelmsley Wood, to be precise. We're from let's call it the lower end of the working class in Birmingham. So Chelmsley Wood is very much an area, a council estate that was, I think, from back in the, I want to say 60s. I don't quote me on the history of Chelmsley. I haven't done it in a while. But what happened in that area in Chelmsley Wood is when the Windrush happened, you had all the Caribbean people come over from the Caribbean, obviously, and they used to do the jobs of bus drivers, nurses, all of the kind of jobs that the people of Birmingham or Britain didn't want to do at the time. When they came over, they were centered, or they were put in the areas like Chelmsley Wood. So they were put on council estates that were far from the city. You can do what you want out there. You're on the lower end of the working class. You're going to stay there. You're going to have earn your pittance, come and drive the buses, go back, and you're going to stay out there. So those people were placed there along with the full white working class people. And what happened was they all interlinked, and you got people like
It sounds all very harmonious.
So, well,
Well,
must have
it
done
sounds like
insolvency
it,
as
but
well.
as we know, in any kind of working class environment, the struggles. And our mum was a single mum; she raised us by herself. For I know I left the house when I was 19, and she raised us up until that point, struggling. But we would never have been. We would have been none the wiser that what she had to go through and deal with, and to get us to where we are. And you asked about the education and stuff. I guess it was the foundations from her is how we see the world, how we look at things. She gives us a very balanced idea of how things should be in life. So she was able to teach us how to look on the other side. I guess look, if you're going through something, you've got your own way of dealing with that, but you've also got to kind of step on the other side and just see it from their point of view too, just to get a balance of where you really are. I think that's probably the most valuable thing that I've been able to, I guess I can articulate, that mum's
You're
given
coming
me.
from those aspects of privileges just from what your mum was able to install inside of you,
Exactly.
but in terms of your social setting, you're coming from the lower end of the working class.
Yes.
You're coming through them kind of council estate environments, which we know they're not the most aspiring or in motivational kind, especially in terms of business production development and diving deep and saving lives basically.
Yeah.
The educational setting, primary, secondary school, I mean, I know what kind of school you guys have come through, and it wasn't not many of us would go off to college or university.
Absolutely
From
not.
there. It's not that kind of setting.
It's not that kind of thing. What they set you up for, and especially the schools that we were at, they set you up for just working in the factories that were local to that area. So that's it. You get the basic of education, and you get the basic of help. So whatever you can kind of conjure up from all those little scraps that you get given, you try and make it work for yourself. Our mum did that. She was able to do exactly that and able to raise two, I would say, good men. And she did that by herself. She's, and given that we came from that, as you said, poor education, that background of.
To my point, I say that to say because what we know from those kind of demographics, those kind of social environments, those kind of social cultures, is it is the people from those backgrounds that suffer the most with these kind of ailments, conditions, and get the least access to quality therapy. So it's kind of like a beautiful, blooming outcome that two guys from that sort of background, social setting, having to go through that experience can now bring to the table literally a product and an experience that has had such profound effects on a condition that affects anybody, regardless of your background, regardless of your wealth, your privilege. So the fact that, two guys like yourselves, looking like yourselves, coming from where you guys come from, can bring that to the table, I see it as this product now has that relativity. Don't matter from the council estate right up until if you've got millions and you still can't buy yourself a cure. Do you know what I mean? So I think that I wanted to highlight that because of the breadth of the product and, like you say, the brand that's behind it now. So now that's brilliant and that's beautiful. If we may, I'd like to touch on, because again, not trying to profile you guys, I've seen a lot and I've used a lot of products. I've got a lot of women in my family that use a lot of products, but the packaging and the presentation of this particular product, we've discussed what's inside it, but the outside, guys, I'd like to say, well done, because it is a premium product. It is something that I wouldn't really expect to see on the bottom shelf in a super drug. Do you know what I mean? So can you just touch on this process of developing this to this standard? Because look, I've even got the come on. It's like, it's top drawer, lads.
It actually started with that conversation we just said there, is where we see this product. And when we're designing this product, it was always aimed for, it would sit well in Harrods, in John Lewis, in any of them premium stores, it would sit in well. You wouldn't overlook it. It would fit those retailers, and the thought process into the design. I mean, the color was nothing to do with cannabis at all. It was creating what we felt was the green was like the new navy blue. Do you know what I mean? It felt power. It felt almost royal. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And the box packaging, the back and forth. Well, I think what I always sort of class as being luxury or identify as being luxury, I feel like it's almost an experience. And I always think that opening something, when you open creams, I mean, I've got boxes of loads of different brands of creams that would try different packaging, and opening them was such an anticlimax because it's just a lid that you pop open and the cream slides out. You throw it
Just really paid so much for it.
Exactly, you're paying some serious money for. So for me, the only thing that I could identify with something being luxury and that process of opening was jewelry. So I wanted something, when you open a watch box or you open a ring, it's, you know what I mean, it's a reveal, not a lift the lid and slide it out and dash away the box. And when you were dealing with jewelry boxes, I don't know, so I was away with watches and things. I've still got the boxes that the packaging is beautiful. So
Too good to throw away.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to create. And these were, I mean, the iterations that we've done for these to get it to this level. And this is very, very, very bespoke, man. The different manufacturers that we went to that said this could not be done. And the reason, I mean, I'm going full circle here, but I think just touching on the last question was something that my mom instilled in us was just a high level in anything that we do. Do you know what I mean? The bar is set so high in anything, and especially in presentation. So what we've done with this, we wanted to create something that was so presentable, but ticked all the boxes. So sustainability, completely recyclable. The choice of colors, the way the box opens, even down to the way we scientifically tested it. So not only did we work with labs to create the formulation, we then went back to the labs because we all had that thing in the back of your head that this isn't enough. What we're doing isn't enough because we're not scientists. We don't have the accolades. What we're creating isn't enough. So we not only developed it with scientists, we then, once the cream was created, we then went back to scientists and got to test it to see what the benefits of this cream were scientifically. And to do that is very easy. The way we done it, no animal testing, which is a different kettle of fish. What we done, went to a lab that grow their own skin. So they grow their own skin, which makes testing it far more accurate because of the variables. Every human has a different makeup of their own skin. Different oils and stuff will throw data. We went to somewhere where they grow their own skin, where the data is bulletproof every single time. And again, we chose to go with this specific lab because there was no animal testing. And again, we don't fit the profile of being scientists or any people that work in the skincare industry. We don't have the accolades. So why would people buy this as a premium product, knowing that we don't have the certifications to back that up? So what we had to do, what we wanted to do, is have the accolades through scientists, and we have that now. We have
So the product is backed
by science,
100%.
backed by science,
Invested in that.
backed by science. And the hydration, the most important thing was hydration. Like this will keep moisture in the skin for at least 24 hours. So when you try a lot of moisturizer, especially on our skin absorbs moisture so much quicker that you can be dry within 24 hours. You can be dry within 5 hours of using the moisturizer.
As the wind blows.
Exactly. One gust and you can be dry again. So what we want to make sure we have a moisture that retains that for at least 24 hours, scientifically proven to do that. We also wanted something that could reduce blemishes, scientifically proven to do that. We wanted something that could protect and aid protecting your skin barrier in harsh conditions like the winter. So winter, you know, when you get chapped lips, your skin's dry, worse scenarios for holding moisture, scientifically proven to do that. We wanted something that would work with people that have got acne-prone skin. So this is worked fantastic with C. acnes to not further develop or disrupt acne. So it's scientifically proven to do that. So I think, full circle again, the bar that we set in terms of what's inside the product and the packaging was setting this bar really high and sticking to those levels. Do you know what I mean? We did not at one point in any way make of the design of this wanted to drop that bar. And I think that's the main reason why we chose to go with one product. We want one product,
all energy
for one product. If it was to split between 3 products, just to like say fit with the trend where we've got a routine, because we don't believe in routine. We don't believe in the idea of having a routine, because we're saying every person's skin is the same. It's not the same. Every routine is going to be different. Use different things for your routine. Do you know what I mean? Where it's a serum, where it's moisturizer, do you know what I mean? Where it's a mask. There's so many different things, balms, oils, there's so many different ways to penetrate your skin. We wanted to solely focus on a moisturizer. That works. And then what we're doing actively now is working with our community, with the people that are buying our product, to work with us, talk to us. And we want them to be a part of the journey of what comes next.
Well, that's brilliant. You touched on that. So just to clarify, yeah, first of all, it's like, given the journey that you went on and what actually inspired you to produce this, I think you've done a great service to the name Donna Marie, in all the presentation, research and investment. In the actuality, it's not just a pretty face in terms of the packaging and whatnot, no pun intended, because, that's the goal, isn't it? To maintain, the integrity of looks, but also to therapeutically contribute to the preservation of well-being and good skin. So with that, you've highlighted the ethics and the values. I heard you mention about the recyclable packaging and every aspect of it, the no animal testing, and that's massively important in this day and age for a brand, for a business, and going forward into the future. Hats off, because it looks like you've made all them considerations before the actual full development of the product. So again, that's just a nod to the name on the box, what you guys about to go through in order to honor that process. You touched on the community and where you go from here. My next question will be, where do you plan to take this brand in terms of how do you plan to interact with the community? You mentioned the developments of next products. What's the process for that look like? And also in terms of collaboration and who you're opening the doors to with such a product. Where do you go from here? What's your vision from here now this product's done?
I think the main aim for us is to continue the transparency, especially with the community it's building. People that are using the feedback it's mind-blowing. Again, we sit down and say,
there's blowing smoke,
just to know the story and they feel for us a little bit. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to make us feel a little bit better, but I think the number of people that are using it is obviously not. Hey, exactly. Data is so important. It's continuing that transparency journey with our customers and our community, and also leaning upon them, but we're open, we're listening to them. The feedback that they're giving us, how it's reacting to their skin, the benefits that they're getting from it. We're collating that data, we're collating that feedback. And we always said from the get-go, we want the community to drive our next product. We don't want to be creating products for, do you know what I mean, that trending right now. It's waste of everyone's time. We're going to put the same effort into our next product that we did into this product, just in a speedier fashion. And leaning on our community, knowing there's a want, there's a desire, there's progression, there's active, there's engagement with that community that are driving us to go on to the next product. I think it's a powerful place to be.
You set on delivering what's needed.
Exactly. Not what they can already get. Like, it's, do you know what I mean? And something that potentially will complement the moisturizer. Do you know what I mean? We don't believe in the routine, so to speak, of set products. But we want something that will complement the rejuvenating face cream.
And I think that's so important as a brand, because like you say, in that process, you're talking about what's so key to this product and to the audience, to the consumer, is the educational awareness. So I think with that process and, being interactive with your customer base, you're going to be basically exchanging that educational process. It's a two-way process. Do you know what I mean? So that's fabulous too. But how about collaborations with such a premium high-end product? Have you considered at this point who you'd like to work with in terms of industry or maybe independent profile? I don't know. Have you had anyone or anything, any pathway
Not
in that sense?
specifically. I think the industry that we'd probably like to collaborate more with is, I guess, it's more research. Because of the amount of research that we did initially with this whole brand, we want to continue that trend. So if we can collaborate with companies or industries that enable us to research further into the ingredients that actually help people, natural ingredients that actually help people, I think those collaborative efforts will be, they'll be well received. And again, with the community offering up their suggestions and their ailments potentially, and what we could potentially look at, then, I mean, as put them all together, we can conjure up a new product every, well, I'm not going to put a date on it, but we could conjure up new products. But yeah, we'll definitely establish a range of different products. But again, we want to make sure it's the right products that we're developing. We're not out here trying to develop just the any old things that you can. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, in the short term that we're working on now, we are actively collaborating with selected salons, holistic salons, and we are being very selective on the salons that we work with. As you can imagine, the integrity in this brand is to the highest level. So we have to make sure that that message,
You don't.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's I mean, we've discussed it many times about retailers and where that will take us. And again, it sparks that conversation of integrity of the brand has to align with any retailer, any salon, anyone we engage with to sell our product, because of the integrity of it. And I think the integrity is only going to grow as we develop more products and the research goes even further. So exactly. And I think when you put your mom's name,
I was about to say our mom's name is on the box. So we have to.
It's very precious. You know what I mean? It's very precious. So we are very selective on how we collaborate, but we are collaborating and we love the idea. I mean, just throwing out the thing that I really get excited about collaborating with next is not things to do with skincare. It's wash bags. It's things we carry things for creams that you can collaborate with. Something not direct with what we're creating, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Brilliant. So at the moment, where can anybody, any member of the public, where can we find out whether it's more information relating to the product, the brand, the science, where we can buy these products? Where are you at the moment on the socials and on the World Wide Web?
We're all over socials, so you can check us out on, well, mainly the website, bloomebydonnamarie.co.uk. Our handles at Instagram is Bloome by Donna Marie. Facebook is the same. Bloome by Donna Marie. Type it in, you will see us come up. You will see the reviews on Google of this product. And please pick it up. Have a try. And let us know your views, because I'm talking to cameras. So yeah, pick it up. Have a try and then give us the feedback. And join the community on Facebook, because then we'll be able to collaborate. We'll be able to talk to you directly, and figure out what we can achieve together. This is a collaborative effort. You know, it's not just we're conjuring up these ideas of
behind the scenes of bringing it.
Yeah, no.
We want to interact with the community.
Exactly that.
Various communities, international communities.
Examination science. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. This is what we've done when we was looking after our mom, when we was giving out the creams to people that we knew, got all the feedback. I think it benefits all parties when you're getting actual data, working on that and creating products where there's a want. Do you know what I mean? Where there's a need, where there's benefits, where you can see there's actual benefits, and we want to use that data to help us develop more products.
Wow. Well, lads, I can heartfeltly say it's an incredibly unique product with an incredibly unique and very sensitive background and foundation, and 100% care, consideration and thought has been put into the presentation, packaging, the ingredients, the research, the science, and also where you want to take this as a brand. So I say a massive well done, and I'm honoured to sit here and have this chat and get this insight, deep delve into the product itself. And I'll just say I wish you all the best for the future of the product and the brand.
Thank you, sir. Cheers, man.